Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Wrestling Underground podcast. I am your host, as always, Chip Porto, and joining me, as always, is my glorious co-host, Marcus Green. Marcus, how the hell are you?
What up, though?
So I reread the caption of that photo that I told you about with his boys. It had me rolling again. It's one of my favorite things in the entire world. So we have to talk about a few things today. I don't see this being an overly long show, but we do have a few headlines I want to touch on. WrestleMania is coming up. It is in what, 3 weeks? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, about 3 weeks. And we're starting to figure out what the card is going to contain. We just don't know when everything is going to be. The only matches we know for sure are going to be the Bloodlines going to be on night one. Sorry, the Bloodline versus Cody and Seth on night one, and Seth versus Drew and Roman versus Cody on night two. We know CM Punk's coming back, but we'll talk about the rest of the card here later. Let's start with the biggest story of the week, though, and that's people are getting kind of irritated with The Rock. He's going over on time on shows. He's breaking company policy by swearing on social media. And honestly, Marcus, there was a time, especially like 2011, when the WWE was awful to watch. Like all these new fans who've only tuned in over the last few years, who are riding the bandwagon of the current success, y'all don't know. Y'all don't know how bad the show was. We stopped covering it for years because of how bad it was. We might
We came,
change that.
yeah, we came up with a show to cover it and then dumped it.
Yeah, we did. We shit, what was that show called?
Grand banter.
Oh, damn, I'm a genius. That was a great name. Yeah, we covered Raw and SmackDown, and it was awful. Now, granted, that was during a slight high peak during the 10 years. Raw was awful, but SmackDown was golden. SmackDown was golden because it was 2 hours. Raw is still a slog to get through because it's 3 hours. There's been a common denominator with why Raw has sucked for over a decade. It's 3 hours. You don't have enough talent, and there's just too many other things to watch. Other than a 3 hour wrestling show with some mid-tier talent making up most of the show. So, but people are pissed at Rock. Rock no longer seems to have the same wrestling fan support that he once had. And while a lot of people are like, oh, I love Heel Rock is so good. I'm sitting here going, I've been a fan of The Rock since 1999. I've watched movies that he starred in simply because he starred in it. Do you think I was going to watch The Rundown for Sean William Scott in 2003? No, I was not. In 2024, I would, because Sean William Scott is fantastic. He's one of the best actors going, and nobody talks about it. But am I going to watch it, in 03 or 04? Well, no. The Rundown remake, I never even knew it was a remake. Liked it, it was good. Tuned into Doom, just to see The Rock. Now I'm at that point where I've seen enough of The Rock. I've seen enough of his flops and his childish behavior and his prima donna attitude and his just little dick energy that he brings all the time when someone criticizes his thing. And honestly, I still haven't really gotten over the way he treated people after the Baywatch movie flopped and the way he criticized those criticizing the movie. We watched the movie, Marcus. It wasn't good. Alexander Daddario and that one Swedish chick can only carry so many scenes. And Zac Efron is like one of those names, like kind of like Sean William Scott. Like he was good and famous for a reason, but he started to showcase that he's actually a really talented actor. So clearly he wasn't the reason that movie flopped. Why did that movie flop? Because The Rock, I think, was a producer and okayed that script. And that script was ass, and he was just him. Rock's not a good actor. We've seen enough of his stuff to know that he's an insecure little mole rat. And I've lost a lot of desire to see him ever again. That being said, the Bloodline storyline is only one thing I think that makes sense to bring The Rock in. And there seems to be a lot of real bitterness here. Like Cody referenced him as the final boss, which is a great line that Brian Gerwitz came up with. And Brian Gerwitz got real heated on Twitter and responded in kind, and basically revealed himself to be the Rocky bootlicker, which is fantastic. And here's the thing: like, I don't even does Brian Gerwitz even work for the company anymore? I don't know. If he does, he's not going to be involved in the match at WrestleMania. So that seemed to be like a real jab back at Cody. So this is getting personal. Love that. But honest to God, The Rock has flexed his way into things so many times in life and ruined so many great moments and angles over the last, 13 years. I'm done with him. I was fine with him coming back for matches. You want to do the once in a lifetime against John Cena? Love it. Then they're going to do the twice in a lifetime the next year just so John can get his win back. It's like, the fucking point is this then? Don't do it. That soured me on him. Now, him wrestling an entire match with his pelvic muscle torn off the bone, respect to that. That was an impressive story to hear. But it may have just been that. It may have just been the story for all we know. I don't trust anything The Rock says anymore. I don't believe anything The Rock says anymore. All I know is that people are starting to get mad inside the company with the double standard The Rock gets, and that's not going to win anyone over because while you get away with things like that if you're The Rock, your legacy and reputation get tarnished because of it. Rock's now on the board and he doesn't play by the rules. That's not cute and cozy when you're going, well, he's a wrestler, Chad. He's a heel, he's a bad guy, a villain. Yeah, but he's in real life breaking the rules. And if anyone else did that, they'd get like, look at Mandy Rose. I don't even think she posts naked photos on her OnlyFans, just saucy photos. And she got canned for it. And she brought up a hilarious point. John Cena now has an OnlyFans. Now, granted, I think John Cena, much like Mandy Rose, is not going full bore with the nudity. He's definitely turned it into more of a mocking thing, which is fine. But again, it's the hypocrisy of it all. And people don't like when people are hypocrites. And I feel like The Rock's burning through his goodwill in this current run. And I want to know if you think that's the case right now. Do you think The Rock is burning through his goodwill?
Oh, this is such a pickle to be in because he's my all-time favorite wrestler, and I can understand certainly folks feeling the way about the double stack. I can certainly definitely feel because even me watching these last few weeks, I'm like, okay, man, this is way too much time being spent on him coming out and talking. Like I remember that situation he had with Gender, where it was just like even I had got exhausted with the typical Rock pandering to the audience with the, doing certain stuff to get the chance and then coming up with stuff so it can hashtag and stuff like that. Like that whole shtick was getting old. I had gotten old and it was even running me to the bone. So to see him flip everything on his head and do this now heel thing, I think it's actually saved him in terms of his on-screen. I prefer him not to suck up so much time, which I think has been helped by the fact that he's doing a lot of these social media promos, which actually to me is coming off better than when he's in the ring. So to me, I think they can cut that in half and let him kind of do that and then come out and do half the time he was going to do had he not done the social media promo. As far as the double standard with the cursing and stuff, look, like I just said, I think he works better when he's flying off the cuff, when he's just earnest with it, coming off the, when I'm about to say off the palm, because we all know how that happened. But shout out to Cena for calling that out. That was crazy. But he's just better to me when he's shooting. Like, to me, when he's having those moments like he did in Fast 5, when Tyrese was like, Mia better hide your baby oil, and then he was like, better hide that big-ass forehead, and that wasn't in the script. And dude legitimate spit out his drink, laughing at it. Like, he works better in that scenario. When he's rehearsed, and he's got to hit these talking points, and get the crowd to chant certain stuff back, it's just monotonous, and it's tiresome. But I get how the wrestlers could feel because they was like, well, we could be doing the same thing. But to me, it's kind of useless being pissed off at that because I think a lot of these guys end up working better when they can find the holes around the parameters in which they got to work in. Like, to me, LA Knight works good like that. Cody's finding his way through that. Cody has his way through that. A lot of other people can find their way through it. I just think certain people just don't like the double standard anyway, and then because it's easy to curse, but when you curse, does it matter? Does it have impact? It's the whole deal. So I think you got people who legitimate reason to be mad, and other people who just want to curse.
You're not wrong. And the other thing that was brought up that I thought was interesting was Dave Meltzer, uh, for what it's worth. And I'll say this again, I think he's a wonderful historian, great fountain of information. Not so great with opinions, though. Said that LA Knight was getting some of his heat taken from him by The Rock, and I thought that was funny, but also inaccurate. I think The Rock's run won't do much for his career and legacy, especially if they fuck it up at WrestleMania. If they keep him heel, Cody wins, we go home, Rock's legacy stays where it is. If
Yeah.
Roman wins or Rock turns face just to help Cody win, I don't think he can salvage his career. His legacy's firm, but I don't think anyone will ever want to see him again because it'll feel like, even if it's not, that The Rock bullied the WWE writing staff into saying, all right, but I want to be the hero at the end of the day. Now, listen, I think Cody's story is terrible. I think it's pedantic. He's a former NWA World Heavyweight Champion. He's a former Ring of Honor World Champion. He's the top guy. He doesn't need to win any specific title. He's the top guy. So, like, him going, my story. Like, your father was a world's heavyweight champion multiple times over. One of the greatest minds of the 80s. A trainer's trainer. Like, a true blue dude. Like, your father was, and still is, respected maybe above everyone else in the history of wrestling. So for him to have, like, I'm trying to win this belt because my daddy didn't. It's a lame-ass story, first and foremost. Secondly, there are fans interested in it. No, can't deny it. Won't deny it. So if they go and have The Rock be the reason why Cody finishes the story, not only will Cody's story no longer have the importance, like it'll be like the last season of How I Met Your Mother. Like, we'll all be like, this was a pointless 2.5, 3 years. All of it ruined. And The Rock's reputation will be shot because he'll be seen as a prima donna who was just there to upstage Cody after all. Can't do it. That would be a death nail in The Rock's return. Like no one would want to see him ever again.
Right. I'm actually glad we're having this conversation because not hearing you talk about it, that's where I thought it was going before, but now them turning him heel, and I think him turning heel the way that he has actually benefited him because it's allowed the audience to fall back in love with a part of him that we hadn't seen since, 03, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Flipping the expensive silk shirts and turning them into, flipping them into vests and stuff, new variations, kind of like what Trish did with her attire in her last run, which was great. He just started back using the music. He got this like Black Adam S type entrance with the lightning thing. Like all that's, he's cooking with all that. But now that you brought up, first off, I'm 100% agreeing with you. Cody's story to me is ass. It's been ass for the longest. As far as going back to Meltzer's whole thing about The Rock taking his heat. You know what took LA Knight's heat? He ran into Roman, who nobody expected him to beat. Even with the momentum, and that's the most momentum he had is when he was going into that match. And when he lost, he never caught it back. So, not the way that he had going into that. So, I don't know. I'm guessing that's just Meltzer trying to bail him out. But getting to the Cody thing, like I said, it's ass to me. And the weird thing to me is both Cody and Seth are both playing second fiddle to larger narratives. Cody is playing second fiddle to the even if he wins, the bloodline narrative is still gonna be going on. Seth to me is third behind Drew McIntyre, who is leading right now, and CM Punk, who is somehow maintained his momentum even injured. And I think that's where the energy is at. I think you get the belt off him finally, and be able to allow Drew to continue menacing the way that he is because he's found a whole new level of momentum with this whole thing with Seth and certainly teasing Punk. And then just wait till Punk come back and let them two go at it. I think that's great. With Cody, like I said, you put the towel on him to appease the crybabies. But to me, to your point about The Rock, they could easily just do a thing. This whole thing started with ego, Roman's ego. And Emil was always looping back to The Rock because you can't call yourself the head of the Samoan family when we know it's not true. So to me, something happens. They lose night one. It goes to night two. It's solo dolo. Cody ends up winning. And Roman needs something to blame it on. And he starts to try to basically do to The Rock what he did to Jay, except you don't do that to the Brahma Bull. And then you can finally get that match between them for the Dick Swinging contest without the belt. And you can keep Rock heel, I guess, in a way in that, because he technically never turned. You don't have to turn, but the crowd's going to get behind him anyway because they're not going to boo him if Roman's going at him like a little bitch. So, I think that'll work out like that.
And we'll see how WrestleMania 40 shakes out, and I think we should run through it again. We got a few weeks. We mentioned the 3 headlining matches on the 2 nights. We also have Io Sky and Bailey, Ripley versus Lynch. The Judgment Day has some opponents finally. It's going to be a 6-pack ladder match. DIY, The Awesome Truth, The New Day have all qualified for it. We don't know who the next 2 teams are going to be. The Creed brothers, though, they faced DIY last night, and they were the talk of Twitter. They're not in, and I feel like that was a wasted opportunity. What else is a wasted opportunity is that this should be a match for both sets of belts separately, so that these belts could go back to their respective channels, because I hate this wannabe brand split, sometimes brand split nonsense. It's stupid. Jay and Jimmy Uso are going to go one-on-one in a match where I still don't know who's who. I think Jimmy has longer hair. Am I right about that?
Yeah, Jimmy will be the one. Yeah, Jimmy will be the one with the mullet. I think. No, Jay's the one with the mullet. Jimmy's rocking the braids. Jay will be the one in the blue, and I think Jimmy will be in the red, which is ironic because they're on the opposite brands for the colors.
So that was lame when it was red versus blue electric Superman, and I adore Superman. I don't have the same energy for this. I also I haven't seen a lot of this feud build up in a way that makes me care. It has more of the same vibe as like when Road Dogg and Billy Gunn, or when Matt and Jeff feuded, where it was very ham-fisted and it didn't feel earnest. Now, it could still have a great match, because I'm thinking about one of the times when 2 brothers did feud, and it was bad, and that was the Steiner brothers. Like, Scott and Rick had this great, intense rivalry in between matches, but when the matches happened, for whatever reason, it just never got good. So maybe this will blow me away. We'll find out.
Yeah, it's been interesting because it's been the big brother, little brother tale of, you never been nothing without me, and I'm not going to let you be anything without me, particularly. And I can appreciate the fact that he really got heated with Jay when he won the tag titles. Or Jimmy really got heated with Jay when he won the tag titles with Cody. Because, like, not only did you leave me, you cheated on me. So it's that kind of deal. So I can get it with that. Solo's probably, he's kind of just going to be in the bloodline shuffle of it all. How you feeling about this TNA match we got on the show?
Knight versus Styles.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for it because it should be Knight's crowning achievement up to date. While he is 40, I want to point out that Styles is like 47. LA Knight is 41, and AJ Styles is 46. He'll be 47 this year. So I feel like Knight getting this win here is absolutely necessary. And I feel like AJ is, fortified enough, certified enough that he can eat this loss. I mean, AJ Styles is one of the few people in the history of wrestling to ever lose to Josh Matthews. I feel like he can lose to LA Knight.
Damn, I think I had blocked that out of my mind, like that alleged third Ninja Turtles movie that we don't talk about. But
Yeah, it's a shame that series never had a third movie. Where they went
but
to feudal Japan and Casey Jones stayed in modern times and hung out with a bunch of samurai. Yeah, AJ Styles definitely did not lose to Josh Matthews at the 2001 Excitement Wrestling Federation event. Definitely didn't happen. Thank Christ for that.
that is hilarious.
We also
But
have the triple threat U.S. title: Owens, Randy Orton, Logan Paul, and that spot they did with.
that was sick.
Yeah, you thought it was sick.
Well,
I thought it was dumb.
I mean, it was definitely like it reminds me of one year when that had to be in 2011. Orton like hit a RKO and then he jumped up in the air and went woohoo. That whole did like it was going in. But I do applaud Theory's bumping ability.
Just keep him away from women.
Jeez, yeah, but that was it was definitely an interesting spot. I feel like Owens got back comfortable because he's going back to hitting the RKO with one arm like he used to when he first started doing it back in 2004 or three, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting. But yeah, who do you think's pulling that out?
I think they're going to keep the belt on Paul. I don't think they're going to have him lose it in a triple threat match to two dudes in their 40s. Randy's, what, 46? No, Randy's only 43. That's still not young. And Owens is 39. You know, Owens is going to turn 40 this year.
Yeah, but I think, but you know, WWE got to think that's the one title he's never won. I don't think.
Who, Orton?
Yeah.
No, he did he? I thought he did.
He definitely been IC champion. I don't remember him ever being US because remember, IC, then world title, then.
He was a U.S. champion.
Oh, he was.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
According to his wiki, I don't know when.
I remember that.
I don't either.
But yeah, so like, I can see Paul holding on to it. Being annoying. I don't know who they'd have take it off of him after that, but.
I think maybe LA Knight if he hasn't dropped it then. Or if he hasn't won the world title then.
Yeah, that's what I thought they were going to.
He won it.
Style.
Sorry, he won it at Fastlane 2018 from Bobby Roode.
That's why I don't remember it.
It was the second longest match on the card. Nakamura defeated Rusev. Orton defeated Rude. Natalia and Carmella defeated Becky and Naomi. The Usos defeated the New Day. Charlotte Flair defeated Ruby Riott. And then in the main event, AJ Styles defeated Baron Corbin, Dolph Ziggler, John Cena, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn in a six-pack challenge. Oh, and Breezangle and Ty Dillinger defeated Mojo Rawley, Chad Gable, and Shelton Benjamin. Chad Gable's been on this roster for like a decade and hasn't done shit. What a waste. Dude's 38. I'm mad. Anyway, Margaret, are you hyped about WrestleMania this year?
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see how things go, particularly seeing how things go with the women. I'm looking forward to seeing how they interject. I feel, you just had that problem with like, you can't have WrestleMania in Philly without Phil, so the Punk's gonna be there some kind of way. But I'm also looking forward to seeing what exactly they do with the women's tag titles. It's looking like they're gonna pair Naomi with Belair, but I also want to see how they're gonna interject Jade in there some kind of way. See what that. I'm also looking forward to Rhea and.
I don't know if they're going to really do anything with Jade, honestly. I think they realize just how much more she needs in training. And, like, she's got the look. God save me, she does. Like, she's TV ready if you want to do anything with her outside of wrestle. She's got that China aura about her, right? That mystique. So, like, I think you can, bring her to television, let her do her thing, but I think fans have kind of hyped themselves up into thinking that, Jade is Sasha Banks as a talent. That she's, Jordan Grace or, Julia or whatever, how you pronounce her name, Gulia. she's not. She's closer to Satnam Singh in the ring than she is anyone else.
Jesus.
So I feel like people really need to be cautious with wanting to see more of her right now because it's not going to go well. I would like to see Bianca and Sasha. That'd be a fun little tag team, but I want women's tag teams to actually stick around. I feel like too many of them treat tag teams like Tinder, where they're interested for about 3 or 5 weeks and then all of a sudden they're moving on to the next hotness. So let's not do that with these tag teams. I would love to see Bianca and Sasha to have like a 3-year run as a tag team.
Bianca and Sasha.
If that's not the goal, don't do it. What was that, Marcus?
You said Sasha, you mean Naomi?
Who did I say?
Sasha.
Oh, yep, sorry. Sasha, yeah. Naomi and Bianca.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah. That'll give Bianca something to do because they love her too much to not have her on the show. She's constantly on everything they do at WrestleMania, but she doesn't have a narrative going on WrestleMania right now, weeks out. So I think that's going to get slid in there. That'll keep her as a champion in consistent TV time because that travels across the brands. So that'll keep Bianca tidy, and it'll also have them doing something with Naomi, who they like, but they necessarily don't view the same as they do somebody like Bianca, and certainly not like how they view the horsewoman, unfortunately. So that'll keep her with momentum as well.
Fuck the horsewoman. This is awesome. This is awesome. Mr. Anderson's promo at 2010 Sacrifice is a top 10 all-time promo. Not in TNA history, I mean in wrestling history. Bet. Alright. Let's move on. Yes.
Real quick, speaking of Anderson, do you think he'll ever go in the Hall of Fame?
Anderson?
I'm thinking about. Yeah, and TNA's Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, I think he's got to make good with a few guys. Because he got fired because Eric Young complained about him wrestling under the influence.
Oh, okay. Was it a drinking thing? I think I recall. Gotcha.
That was just the story. Like Eric Young was very unhappy with everything that was going on at the time.
Gotcha.
And I don't blame him by any means. You've got to do a better job protecting yourselves and the wrestlers. So I get that. Speaking of protecting yourselves, Alberto El Patron. No one is protecting us from him.
That was great.
Thank you. At 46 years old, he's not done, and I like to consider that more of a threat than anything. The once vaunted Mexican wrestler has not had the best run. Now, maybe I don't know how much we want to believe Paige. She really started his downfall with a lot of accusations. Then his then wife started a lot of accusations, which further complicated things. Those allegations were later walked back, I believe, because those were, I think, made to Mexican authorities. Let's do a quick little look. Patron was arrested on May 9, 2020 in San Antonio, Texas, after allegedly battering and sexually assaulting his then-girlfriend. He was booked into the Bexar County Jail, charged with 1 count of sexual assault and 1 count of assault causing bodily harm. Rodriguez was later released on $50,000 bail at approximately 3:30 a.m. On October 9th, Rodriguez was indicted by the grand jury and formally charged with aggravated kidnapping and sexual assault. His trial was delayed several times until the charges were ultimately dropped on December 10th, 2021. Now, I don't remember why the charges were dropped, but they were. So he's back in Mexico wrestling full-time. And I can't say that I've watched a lot of his stuff. I just remember how bad his TNA run was, and it really made me unhappy. And, there's that part of me where, he's still a big name, right? He's still a huge name. But I don't know if I have that much interest in watching him wrestle Nick Nemeth at Triple Mania 32. And it feels like a rematch of like what was it, 2011 WrestleMania or like post WrestleMania? Isn't that when Dolph cashed in?
Yeah, it's definitely a rematch of that, but it unfortunately neither one of them are where they were then. So
Yeah, I would say Nick is still closer to what he was. Maybe not popularity wise, but in ring,
yeah.
sure. I
Oh,
don't know if
absolutely.
Alberto is still what he once was. I was never a big fan of his. He has the look. I just don't think he has the chutzpah. I am interested in this event though because they got this really impressive women's match with Fabio Paci, Estrelita, and the new sexy star, as well as Reina Dorado, who I'm not too familiar with, taking on Dallas, Flammer, La Harada, and Marabella. That was all terrible. And I really like the faces in this match, so I'm excited about that. They got this multi-man match that involves Super Calo, Aerostar, Chessman, Charlie Manson, Abismo Negro, Heavy Metal, and a bunch of others. Negro Casa will take on the returning Dr. Wagner, who's fan-fucking-tastic, even though he's 58. And two mystery opponents. Two mystery partners. That's gonna be awesome. Octagon Junior Laredo Kid and Psycho Clown are taking on Sam Adonis, the brother Corey Graves, QT Marshall, which I could do without, and Parker Bordeaux. I wanted to see how Parker Bordeaux has progressed, and I think this would be a nice test for him. Then in what will be part of Vampiro's retirement tour, Pagano and El Macias, the former King Muertes, will tag with Vampiro to take on Cybernetico, Dark Oz, and Dark Cuervo. I'm not overly excited about seeing 56-year-old dementia Vampiro wrestling, but I also know that we're not going to have long with these guys. And if he wants to do one more match, I'm not going to sit here and sorry, he has Alzheimer's, not dementia, but it's not exactly better. I'm not going to sit here and say no to seeing one more match with Vampiro, especially when he's going to have the names around him. This looks like a calamity possibly waiting to happen, or it could be really entertaining. We'll see. Marcus, is this card? I don't think this card's going to be has enough northern talent, if you will, to draw you in. But does any of it make you want to check it out at least?
I may check out to see, like you said, Nick is still in fantastic shape. I haven't seen Albatron. I would imagine he's still in solid shape. I haven't seen him since saw him a clip on Twitter where he was like, felt like he was entering a gymnasium or maybe 50 people for an
Mm-hmm.
event. Um, but he's always kept in decent shape. It's always been stuff outside the ring that's seems like it's been derailing him for a long time. But this match should be fine. But I'm pretty much like you on everything else. I haven't even heard anything about Vampiro since I first heard about him suffering from whatever he was going through. So um, hopefully he's on a better, well, as good as you can be on the other end of what he was going through and not doing too much because you hate to see, people just not what they were. Particularly when the last time I feel like we saw him wrestle was when he had that light tube match with Pentagon, which you hated because of the light tube. But yeah,
Oh no, I love that Pentagon match in Lucha Underground. Is that the one you're talking about?
yeah.
Oh, I
But I feel like
adored that match.
no, I'm talking about the match. But I think. Did you say you just don't like the light tubeness of it
Yes, the
all?
light
Yeah.
tubes are not great. There's a lot of deadly chemicals in there that you cannot inhale. So I thought that was unnecessary. But I love the match, especially at the end of it when Vampiro revealed himself to be Pentagon's
Master,
leader. Oh,
which
that was great.
which flipped the whole narrative for that character.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, here's Cage Side from January. AAA held a press conference to announce several juicy tidbits and information for their upcoming plans this year. Alberto Del Rio is back in the mix. Vampiro will have his official retirement tour, and more major events were revealed. AAA brands each year's live touring schedule with a theme. 2024 is Origines, or maybe that's just original. I don't know. AAA is going to go retro to celebrate the origin of the company and stars of the past. In an interview with Mas Lucha, Conan explained that the nostalgia sells. People want to see their childhood stars one more time. The big addition is El Patron Del Rio on board for more steady dates. El Patron made a handful of appearances last year, in particular as a participant in the Huevo de Rivalities tournament, and he's now exclusive with AAA. Another legendary veteran for the Origines tour is Vampiro. His retirement tour is official. Vampiro dipped out last year due to his physical toll on his body, but AAA has plans to give him a proper send-off this time. Other popular names to include are Fabio Pachi, Charlie Manson, Cybernetico, Zorro, Supercallo, Heavy Metal, Electroshock, Aerostar, Pimpinella Escalarada, and Loxectra, with Dark Oz, Dark Cuervo, and Dark Scoria. This in addition to the today superstars such as Psycho Clown, Pagano, and El Hijo del Vikingo. The reason why Nick Nemeth and Alberto are even feuding in this match is because El Hijo del Vikingo is out with an injury, so we'll see what happens when he comes back. He'll likely face Patron for the belt, so we'll see. In a match that was also made this week that is not for a belt, WWE's Shayna Baszler will take on TNA's Masha Slamovich at Josh Barnett's Bloodsport 10. I'm not a big Baszler fan, but this is kind of cutesy. We've seen TNA talent wrestle AEW talent, and we've seen TNA talent take part in WWE matches at the Royal Rumble. This is going to be the first time that we see two wrestlers from both companies signed to contracts, coming into a tertiary promotions company and wrestling. I think it's going to be very interesting. Marcus, are you excited for this matchup?
I am, just because I feel like they can take the cuffs off there. Since we've been covering Bloodsport, I don't know if we've been talking about it since it first started, but I feel like every time we've talked about it, Barnett has absolutely delivered with the event he's delivered, with a match that, people wanted to see, certainly one main event that people wanted to see at least, and this don't feel like it would be no different. I think, like I said, you let these two women cut loose, and I think they can put on a hell of a show. We know Masha ain't got no qualms with going there, and I think somebody like Baszler has probably been, scratching to get back to a vicious point, so I think they can go there.
I'm excited to see what they can do together. I just wish it was somebody that wasn't Baszler. Speaking of somebody else, we have the Mercedes Mone debut. Long expected in AEW. She's part of the group. I'm interested to see what they do with her, although I am kind of missed because Taya Valkyrie's been there for a year. They haven't done anything with her. They've just got done jobbing out Deonna Purrazzo. Either they're going to give all the attention and power possible to Monet, give her the belt. I don't even know who the women's champion is off the top of my head.
Women's champion is Toni Storm, and yeah.
And I know the little goth chick is the secondary women's champion. So are they gonna upend Toni Storm just to have Monet win the belt? Are they gonna push down Purrazzo down the ladder, which I expected them to do, just to make room for Monet? I don't know. The signing is good on the surface. She's now allegedly the highest paid women's wrestler in the world. But I'm also worried about what this is going to do to everyone else on the card beneath her. But that's not necessarily her problem, so to speak. She shouldn't have to worry about Tony Khan's ability to book people. That's not fair to her. Marcus, thoughts on the Monet sign?
Similar to you, look, it was cool to see. I didn't know how serious it was for her when she got, I think, injured in Japan. Or whatever New Japan Strong was at the time. So, the fact that it was told to her that was a career-ending injury, and she obviously came back and got to debut in a new company in her hometown, I know had to be a hell of a thing. The AEW is certainly knocking out the park when it comes to having people be in their hometown and have some big moments. But yeah, it was cool to see, like you said, hell of a signing on the surface, certainly, because obviously we saw what happened with Taya. I don't know exactly where it's gonna, where they're gonna go with Deanna once she gets out of Storm's orbit, because now she lost the title match and now she's teaming with Thunder Rosa, who was also falling off to me in certain respect. Now they're going to be, I guess, teaming to go against Storm and her sidekick, so that's going to be a thing. But after she's out of Storm's orbit, who actually has some good story between the two of them, I don't know what she's going to do, but I think with Monet being in the position, like you said, apparently the highest paid woman in wrestling, kudos to her for however that, she got that to work out. I feel like it's a Brock situation where she's paid too much for them to book her bad.
Essentially.
Yeah.
We'll see how it turns out. It's certainly a big ass signing, on par with the Okada and Ospreay. So hell of a year so far for AEW. They may be adding 2 more big names to the roster, as Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin are both expected to be free agents by the end of the month. So the rumor states. There's a part of me that would like to see them be retained by TNA, but there's another part of me that thinks that if you're not going to feature them in prominent roles, maybe someone else will. So we'll see what happens there. We spoke briefly off the air. I know you would like to see them be retained by TNA, and I think that's mostly because you and I are TNA guys. What's your thoughts on their potential departure, and if they do go anywhere else, where would you like to see them go?
That's interesting right there. I think the most likely thing is they can go anywhere they want, but I think the most likely thing will be AEW. Real quick, if you were booking, would they still both be champion?
Yes.
Same. So that's that part settled. Now, ironically enough, with what ended up transpiring with D'Amore, even if that was still the case, I wonder if that would still be a situation where it's like even with them champion, because we've seen this before with TNA, they have people as champion, and for whatever reason, current or upcoming contract negotiations will be shaky at best, which is weird. But I'd retain them just because I think, you kicked off the year with such strong momentum, and you would hate to see a company kind of regain its glory in terms of its name at TNA, and then all of a sudden, the people most associated with those letters start tapering off. Like, you don't want to see this, and then you lose Kaz, and then after that, EY fades. They really can't afford for EY to fade off again, because I think he's carrying a lot of the roster's morale momentum, if you will. So I'd retain them, but again, maybe if it's not one of those situations where they got the clause to exercise to keep them, they could very well easily transition to AEW and kind of date them for a while and kind of just bounce around.
It'll be interesting to see where they go. They're both in their early 40s, so it's not like they're, by any regard within wrestling world, that old. So I'm curious to see how they end up going, and where they end up going. But only time will tell if they end up sticking in TNA, or if they end up going to another promotion, or if they end up hopping around and just run the circuit for a while. We'll certainly find out about that. But that's all we got for this week's show. Marcus, is there anything else you want to touch on before we skip out?
Probably just congratulations to the Thunderbolt Patterson.
Going into the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
Certainly a very interesting and very rightful pick, historically speaking. So, good on him.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, we're going to head off. We'll be back next Tuesday for another edition of the Wrestling Underground podcast. You can find us on our website. There we go. I forgot how we write this down. You can find us on our website at realnerdcorp.com, REALNERDCORP. We are on Twitter at NERDCORP. Twitch is twitch.tv/Wrestling Underground, and YouTube is The Wrestling Underground. We're on Twitter at NERDCORP. Marcus, you're on Twitter at ParadoxKid, PARADOXKID.
That's me.
You can also find Marcus on his other podcast by going to his other podcast Twitter account, The True Penny Show, TruePennyShow. They cover GLEAT and other things, so check them out. I'm on Twitter as well, Chad Nerdcorp, CHEDNERDCORP, and on the Instagram at Chad's Photo Hut, CHEDSPHOTOHUT. That's CHADSPHOTOHUT. We'll be back next Tuesday around 9 o'clock for another edition of the Wrestling Underground podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking us out. Thanks for giving us a chance. Remember, as always, watch more wrestling. And Marcus, play us on.
Good night, me.